Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler,
And I'm Molly.
and this time we're going to be going through the history of a few different monsters in the horror genre.
Yes, we are. Some of the coolest monsters around.
We're going to be going through three different eras of four different monsters. We're going to be talking about Dracula, the Frankenstein monster, the Wolfman, and the Mummy.
Yes. Some of my favorite monsters for sure.
This first era we're going to be looking at will be the golden age of horror, which is going to be the Universal monsters. And we're going to be starting this off with the 1931 version of Dracula, directed by Todd Browning and starring Bela Lugosi as the titular Count Dracula. Now, this version of Dracula was supposedly the first sound horror movie, or first fully sound horror movie, given that the 1925 version of Phantom of the Opera was later dubbed by the actors, but they weren't able to have Lon Chaney Sr. dub his role as the Phantom, as he was under contract from another studio at the time. Now, why does this matter to Dracula? Well, Lon Chaney Sr. was actually the original choice to play Count Dracula before he died of throat cancer. Now, this movie also stars Helen Chandler as Mina, David Manners as Jonathan Harker, or John Harker as he's called here. Dwight Fry plays Renfield. Edward Van Sloan plays Van Helsing. Those two names you're going to be hearing a lot during this Universal cast lists. Herbert Bunsen plays Dr. Seward, and Frances Dade plays Lucy. These are the main players here, and just going off the book characters, there's there's obviously some people left out, like Arthur, Quincy, and all that, and Jonathan here is really he's really more downplayed than he is in the book.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he has a very big part in this movie.
I mean, arguably in the book, the people that you read it for are Dracula, maybe Mina, maybe Van Helsing. Jonathan isn't a bad character. It's just
Not the most interesting.
yeah. But how was this movie as an adaptation? It's fine, I guess. It was made in the 1930s, so there's clearly going to be liberties taken. And they do keep some things from the book, but there are more accurate adaptations of Dracula out there. This is one of the less so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I've ever fully read Dracula, so I can't really say too much about how similar it is. But from what I've read, yeah, I could tell it's a pretty big difference there.
I mean, you get the basics. Dracula is wanted to go to England, buy property, and just do his thing. But getting from the beginning to the end, it's all sorts of liberties taken with the story. For instance, it's not Jonathan Harker that goes to Transylvania to talk to Dracula. It's Renfield this time, which we talked about during our review of Renfield earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
This movie sort of acts as the backstory for that movie if Dracula and Renfield had actually won.
Excuse me. Excuse me, I had to sneeze.
Okay. But overall, I think this is an A-OK movie. Not my favorite Dracula adaptation, but it's perfectly fine.
It's kind of slow for me, I think.
which is kind of wild given that this movie is only a little over an hour long.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a short movie, but it's a slow one, I thought.
But any sort of any sort of problems I have with the movie are instantly taken away once we get to Bela Lugosi as Dracula. Now I talked about him a little bit in our review of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein last year. Now this wasn't the first time he played Dracula, because he had played him on stage sometimes, but it was the first time that he played him in the movies, of course. First of only 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he'd played other vampires before, but he never played Dracula again until Abbott and Costello.
Yep.
And what a magnificent performance here. Like, it's just magnetic. You are drawn to this guy from the moment he appears on screen, and in a way, you kind of want him to win, because he's the most interesting character here.
He really is, yeah.
I mean, yeah, Van Helsing is fine enough, but he doesn't have the same presence or personality as Dracula, which is unfortunate, but hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
This will probably be all we have to say about Dracula, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, what's more to say whenever it's a classic movie that, everyone knows who Dracula is?
Yeah. Favorite character would obviously be Dracula.
Yeah, obviously.
Favorite part? Hard to say. But if if you didn't care for this one, which I understand, there's always the Spanish version of this movie to watch, which was filmed at night while this one was filmed during the day, and it's a lot more. It's on a technical level, it's better. It has more sophisticated camera techniques and better cinematography and the like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's absolutely worth the watch. But no Bela Lugosi. So you get one or the other. That's not to say that the actor for Dracula in the Spanish version isn't good. He is. I just can't remember his name right now because. Anyways. So what else? Do you have any more to say?
No, I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it all.
Carlos Villarreal. That's the name of the man who played Dracula in the Spanish version. I just wanted to look that up real quick. Mm-hmm. That is it for Dracula then. We're going to be moving on to Frankenstein now. Now, Frankenstein, directed by James Whale. Almost said the wrong guy. Was it not the first adaptation of Mary Shelley's novel? There was a version directed in 1910 that was made by Thomas Edison. Mm-hmm. That was at one point lost media, but now it has been since found. And there may have been a few other adaptations, but this was the first
full-length movie production.
It's just a little over an hour, so however full length you want to call that.
Well, back then I feel like movies were shorter back in the day.
Well, yeah.
Now movies are so long and boring and it takes forever to get through them.
Yeah, but you see a 2-hour movie and you'll think, oh, that's too long.
Yeah, exactly.
You have no patience.
I don't. That is correct.
Anyways, this version of Frankenstein stars, of course, Boris Karloff as the monster, Colin Clive as Henry Frankenstein. In the book, his name is Victor. He had a best friend named Henry, but they switched the names.
For some strange reason?
Well, they thought that Henry was a friendlier name than Victor. I don't know. Mae Clarke plays Frankenstein's wife, Elizabeth. John Bowles plays his best friend, Victor. Edward Van Sloan, there he is again, plays Dr. Waldman, Frankenstein's mentor. Frederick Kerr plays Baron Frankenstein, Frankenstein's father. And Dwight Fry, that guy again, plays Fritz, Frankenstein's henchman, his Igor, as it were. Even though in the book he had no hunchbacked assistant named Igor. He created the monster all by himself. You know, you're the Frankenstein person here, so I'm going to let you take this a bit.
Yeah, I wasn't really going to go into it because if I do, I would be here all night. But yeah, this Frankenstein movie is almost nothing like the book that it's based on. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is one of my favorite classic novels. I have read it a lot for college, and I own like every version. I think there's like 3 different published versions. But yeah, and it's just very different from the movie. I think the main difference, is the monster itself. In the book, it can run fast, it can talk, it's very smart, and it's also kind of murderous. It does murder on purpose. You know, it does have some malicious intent behind the choices it makes. So there are a lot of differences, and I'm more of a fan of the book, obviously. But yeah, this version of Frankenstein's monster is what everyone seems to think of whenever they hear Frankenstein.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. I haven't personally read the book, but I listened to I watched Wendigoon's video on the book, and he goes through the whole thing, so that's basically close enough, right?
No, it's not. Not at all.
But it's Wendigoon, though. I'm gonna trust Wendigoon. Anyways, all of you watching this, go watch Wendigoon's video on Frankenstein. It's great.
Or you could just read it, you know.
You could do that, but go give Wendigoon some love. He doesn't necessarily need my endorsement, but still, go watch his stuff. He's great. Yeah. So Boris Karloff as the monster. I love it.
Yeah, he does play a good monster, even though, you know, I have my qualms.
It's almost nothing like the book.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to get into Bride of Frankenstein, but that's more accurate to the book, given that he spends some time with the blind man and he learns how to speak and all that.
Yeah, it is.
And early on in Bride, he does murder a couple people, so there's that too.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But we're not getting into any like the sequels too much.
Not yet, anyways.
But with these Dracula and Frankenstein adaptations, they're going to be getting more accurate as we go through the years. Because the next ones we're going to be taking care of are going to be the Hammer versions of all of these monsters, and then 90s and more modern day for our third batch. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, so let's get back to this version of Frankenstein. Yeah, from what I've heard, there's little to do with the book with this version of the movie.
Yes. So I've said that a lot. Yep.
And for instance, the little girl Maria was not in the book.
Nope.
And when Frankenstein did kill in the book, it was definitely on purpose.
Yeah, he frames Josephine for murder, and he kills Victor's little brother. I think that might be it.
Dude straight up kills a kid in the book.
Yeah.
Why am I laughing at that? That's horrible.
Yeah. He kills a kid. Yep.
But funny story. Bela Lugosi was originally approached for the role of the monster. Now, the story goes either that he rejected it because he wouldn't have any lines and he'd be hidden under a whole bunch of makeup, or James Whale rejected him. It's unknown. It could have happened either way. But eventually, Lugosi would go on to play the monster in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. and technically in um
Out with it.
yeah, I'm trying to remember. It was the one that came between Son of Frankenstein and Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, where he dubbed the monster's voice.
House of Frankenstein?
House of Frankenstein, was that it?
I don't know.
Hold on, let me check.
I really don't know. I was just.
It was Ghost of Frankenstein.
That one sounds spooky.
It's kind of mid, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi plays Igor. That's where the name for the Hunchback's assistant came from. And he puts his brain into the Frankenstein monster's body, and it's weird.
It sounds weird, yeah.
It's interesting, definitely, but we're getting off track, as we always do. Do you have anything positive to say about this version of Frankenstein?
If I ignore the book and just watch the movie as it is, it's all right. It's a classic monster movie.
Yeah, and of course there's the Jack Pierce makeup job that he did on Boris Karloff.
Yeah, really good, really scary looking. That is probably one of the coolest looking monsters, I guess.
Which, Karloff had an amazing palette to work with. I mean, look at the guy's face.
Yeah.
I don't mean to make fun of him or anything, but the man was made to be in monster movies. And it's a shame that he doesn't really speak in this first one, because he had such an amazing voice too. We heard it in The Mummy and other Frankenstein movies he was in. He appeared as a doctor in one of the later ones. In The Grinch.
Yeah, I was about to say, we hear his voice in The Grinch.
I was getting to it.
Or How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the classic one.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
When I say Boris Karloff in Grinch, people are going to know what I mean.
Yeah, I would hope so.
You would hope so. I do want to talk about one more thing before we leave. Colin Clive as Dr. Frankenstein is... he's not bad. Don't get me wrong. He's not at all bad, but he's strange,
How so?
Like, he's completely crazy, but absolutely likable too.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, this guy is clearly off his rocker, but you like watching him do that.
Yep.
Yeah, and like with Lugosi and Dracula, he has this stare that just draws you to him. I love it.
Yeah, it was a good performance.
That will do for Frankenstein. Next we have The Wolfman. The Wolfman, directed by George Wagner, is one of the later movies in the Universal monster cycle. The only classic monster that came after the Wolfman was the creature from the Black Lagoon, and that was in the 50s.
Wow.
Now, unfortunately, we won't be getting to him in this little mess of monsters, because there hasn't been a lot of Creature from the Black Lagoon movies.
No.
I mean, there's these ones, and then there's his appearance in the Monster Squad. That's about it.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of him.
There was Abbott and Costello Meet the Creature from the Black Lagoon, but that was more of a short. And I think at one point, John Carpenter was supposed to direct a Creature from the Black Lagoon remake. That would have been awesome. But we're here for The Wolfman. So, The Wolfman, starring Lon Chaney Jr. as Larry Talbot, as the Wolfman. Larry Talbot, Wolfman, whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I just like to say, I love seeing Lon Chaney Jr. and things. He was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even in absolutely bonker stuff like Spider Baby, he's the best part.
Hey, I like Spider Baby.
Oh, I didn't say it was bad. I just said it was weird.
Yeah, that is true.
Claude Rains plays his dad, Sir John Talbot, and I couldn't recognize who he was because he was visible and not wearing glasses. So it took me a while to realize that that was Claude Rains,
Yeah.
which you would think, given that his voice. But I'm kind of dumb sometimes. It's okay. Ralph Bellamy plays Colonel Montford. Warren Williams plays Dr. Lloyd. They're just people in town. Patrick Knowles plays Frank Andrews. Bela Lugosi plays a gypsy named Bela.
Wonder where they came up with that name.
Couldn't tell you. Maria Ospitskaya, I hope I said that
Yeah,
right,
that's a hard one.
plays Maleva, another gypsy or Romani woman. I probably should say Romani, but
In the movie, that's what they call
They do
them
refer
during
to
the
them
time
as gypsy.
period, Yeah.
and I've heard some people say that gypsy's okay. Some people would prefer to be called Romani. So you just gotta just play by ear.
Yeah.
If they're okay with it, then fine. But if they want you to call them Romani, then do that. That sounds reasonable, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn Ankers plays Gwen Conliffe, the love interest of the movie. And yeah, that's about it for the main players.
Yeah.
So, Larry Talbot goes back to his hometown after 18 years of being away after his brother is killed in a hunting accident. He peeps on a woman in her apartment through his dad's telescope.
He's pretty creepy. Pretty creepy guy. Not the best way you should probably approach a woman is by telling her you were looking at her through a telescope.
Probably not, but you know what? She forgives him in the end.
Yeah, for some reason, yeah.
And they go out at night to get to a fortune teller, and they get attacked by a wolf, who is the Bela Lugosi character.
Mm-hmm.
He's on screen for not even 5 minutes, and it kicks this whole thing off.
Yeah, he does.
Larry gets bitten by it, and he's told he's gonna be a werewolf.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, this is my first time watching it in a long time. So it was kind of like I got to watch it again for the first time,
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And honestly, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I honestly think this one, even though, let's be honest, I love Frankenstein. However, I think I like the Wolfman the most out of the Universal monster movies.
Well, we're not even talking about my favorite out of the whole Universal monster movies. We're not even getting into the Invisible Man during all this. Although, I may have to do some research to see if Hammer did an Invisible Man movie.
Yeah.
But if they didn't, then just whatever.
Yeah, but it's a good one. I like that they think that Larry, right? That's his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that he's the one murdering these people. Well, I mean, he kind of is.
He is.
But they think it's just him. They're not aware that he's a werewolf, so...
Not aware he's a werewolf.
That's a good one.
No, it's not.
But yeah, it's interesting. I like the story.
Yeah, and this may or may not be my favorite one from this particular batch.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to tell,
Yeah.
but it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Only problem is I'm having a bit of trouble coming up with things to say about it.
It's a pretty simple plot. It's just a man becomes a werewolf and then kills some people, and then he dies as well because his dad thought he was just a crazy wolf man, so he killed him.
Well, his dad used his cane that had a silver wolf head on it on the top, and he used silver to kill werewolves.
Yep. And that's the cane that Larry used to kill the wolf that attacked him.
Yes.
So yeah.
So it's kind of like poetry. It rhymes, as George Lucas would say.
Sure.
So yeah, Larry does die in the end, but it's okay. He comes back in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, Abbott and
Abbott and
Costello
Costello.
not meet the Invisible Man.
Meet
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Although the Invisible Man is in that one.
Yes, at the very end. Yep. That's a great movie, by the way.
Yeah, we already talked about it last year. Go watch that. And you know what? Don't watch that. Go watch the actual
yeah, go
movie.
watch the movie. Yeah.
But do watch our video on it too, please.
Yeah, please.
Now, the Wolfman, I don't think it got any sequels outside of his appearances in the Frankenstein movies.
I don't know.
Pretty sure I will look that up real quick because stall for me, please.
Yeah, I really like Lon Chaney Jr. in things. Like you mentioned before, seeing him and stuff is just really good. I just really like him. I don't know what it is about him. He just is really likable to me. So seeing him as the main character, a werewolf, I don't know. I just really like werewolves and the whole legend with, just the whole werewolf legend. So, Lon Chaney Jr. playing a werewolf is pretty cool, I think.
Lon Chaney Jr. in general is really cool. He had a great presence to him, and
yeah,
he was just magnificent.
Yep.
Okay, there was Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, Abbott and Costello, Werewolf of London, and She-Wolf of London. Haven't seen those last two, but might be worth a look. I think
I saw the London one before, on TV. Whenever we used to have, TV.
Yeah, now nobody has TV, and also y'all got rid of your cable.
Yep.
So, do you have anything more to say on the Wolfman?
Not really. I think if you haven't seen any of the movies we're talking about yet, you really need to go see them because they're classics. They are classic monsters. This is one of my favorite classic monster movies. So, yeah, go watch it.
Now, for these first three movies that we've been talking about, we watched them on the Universal 4K collection set that came out a couple years back. These are pretty good transfers.
Yeah, the picture quality was really good watching all these.
Now, there's going to be some out of focus stuff because, things weren't so sophisticated with filmmaking techniques back then, but yeah, that's just to be expected.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking up the cast list for Werewolf of London and She-Wolf of London. Lon Chaney Jr. apparently had nothing to do with these. So it was just...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that the London werewolf or whatever.
Ah, well.
It was not...
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Now, this next one, we don't have this on 4K because it's part of the... it was part of the 4K collection that came out last year or so, and I just haven't gotten around to getting it. It is The Mummy from 1932, and we're going to be talking about that right now. And we have The Mummy, directed by Karl Freund. That looks about right?
Yeah.
In 1932, this starred not Bela Lugosi. I'm a complete buffoon.
Yes.
Boris Karloff as the mummy Imhotep, who is resurrected on accident and is trying to bring his mummy girlfriend back to life.
Yep.
Nice thing about all the mummies movies we're going to be talking about, it's basically
the same.
a little bit. Well,
Same basic premise.
well, not so much for Hammer actually. Not the initial one. Well, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. Don't get ahead of yourself.
This movie also stars Zita Johann as Helen Grosvenor, the reincarnation of Imhotep's girlfriend back in the day. David Manners plays Frank Wemple, son of Sir Joseph Wemple, played by Arthur Byron, the guy who discovered Imhotep. Edward Van Sloan, there he is again,
Yeah, he's in a lot of these.
plays Dr. Moeller, basically the Van Helsing role again.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Bramwell Fletcher plays Ralph Norton, the guy who witnesses Imhotep coming back, and he goes completely insane. Noble Johnson plays the Nubian. That's his name.
All right. Interesting.
He's basically the heavy for Imhotep. And those are our players. So, this version of The Mummy is... Well, if you're used to the Brendan Fraser version, this is gonna take some getting used to.
Yeah, it is.
Now, even though we weren't able to watch this in 4K, we only watched it on DVD, it still looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like, this came out after they did Dracula, obviously. So they learned from their mistakes, and they were able to make a technically better put together movie.
Yeah.
So, it's a pretty straightforward plot, in all honesty. And this first Mummy movie is, well, first of all, this movie isn't based on any sort of book like Dracula or Frankenstein. It's its own original story, and the movies that came after it in the Mummy series have basically nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay.
This movie takes is looking at Imhotep. The next ones they follow a different mummy named Karis, as he's kind of going through the same thing a little bit, but he then gets used by Egyptian priests for reasons of revenge, and that's also what the Hammer movie does. We'll get to that when we get to that. I swear, I jump around a lot.
Yes, you do.
So, was this your first watch of this movie?
No, I've seen it before.
Okay, I had to ask.
Don't know why I was so offended by that. But The Mummy's not my favorite. I will say it. Not this version, anyways. I don't know why. It's just, I guess, I don't know. The Mummy just isn't quite as cool, I think, as the others. But I can still appreciate the movie. It's still a good movie. Classic movie again. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't my favorite of this batch, but it's still one I very much enjoy. I feel like Boris Karloff was perfectly cast in this. I feel like this was a better role for him than Frankenstein's monster was. Obviously, he gets to do a lot more. He gets to actually talk, for one.
Yeah.
And he gets to really flex his acting muscles.
Yeah, he does get a lot more to do. Yeah, you can see him do more, I guess, is just it. Even though his Frankenstein role is classic and he was really good being a scary monster, he gets to do it. You see him have more range, I guess, is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, and the makeup job they did for this one is just as iconic as Frankenstein is, I think, because you take a look at this guy and you know he's a walking corpse, or you wouldn't know in story, I guess, but you would just know that something is off about him. Yeah. Because I really love the makeup on his face, where it looks like the bandages just rotted into his face. Yeah, I love that detail.
Yeah, it looks really good, really creepy.
And his frame was just perfect for this role too, because again, you look at him, it's a dead guy.
Yeah, you can tell he's a long dead guy.
And this movie actually is in some ways more fast-paced and more slow-paced than the Brendan Fraser version. More fast-paced in that the moment that we start the movie, bam, they already got the mummy out.
Yeah, that's true.
He's already out of the tomb. They got the sarcophagus open. He's just hanging out.
Yeah. He's there from the beginning. Yeah.
And then it
slows down.
It does slow down. This is probably not going to be my go-to mummy movie, but it's not a bad time either.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything more to say on The Mummy?
Not really. Not this one. It's, it's a classic. I think a lot of people have seen it, so it's not much to explain.
Actually, I don't think most people would have seen this one.
Hope that wasn't picked up by the camera or whatever.
We don't have a camera.
You know what I mean.
Anyways.
Oh. Sorry.
Stop doing that.
Hopefully you will edit this out.
No.
Anyways. Yeah, I guess people, a lot of people like horror movies. We like to watch the classic horror movies, right?
I mean,
or is it just us?
It's not just us, but I feel like more people would be more familiar with some of the newer things.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But, it's a pretty straightforward movie. One of our cats is snoring really loud.
Stupid things.
He's cute.
They are. The ancient Egyptians really loved cats, though.
Yes. So do I.
Yeah, I guess everyone in ancient Egypt had that toxoplasmus disease or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, check out Casual Geographic's video on cats. It's really great.
Yeah. Anyways.
I'm
anything else you need
I'm
to
just
add?
plugging other YouTubers here for fun.
Anything else about The Mummy?
No, I don't think so. It's a perfectly fun time, and I'm definitely going to come back to this.
Yeah, me too.
So, as far as rankings go, how would you rank these for? Let's say worst to best.
Worst to best. Okay.
Or not really worst, just
Yeah.
least good.
Because they're not, they're not bad movies, but I'd say ones that I just didn't quite like as more as others. I would say The Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein, The Wolfman. What would you say?
I'd say Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, and then The Wolfman. It's just as much as I would like to look at Dracula as a movie on its own, I just the lack of faithfulness to the source. It's I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a perfectly fine movie. I just would have liked it if it was more accurate.
I understand.
So that'll do it for us for today. Next time, we're going to be looking at the Hammer versions of these horror monsters. Catch you guys next
See
time.
you next time.